Hello, friends. Welcome to Nirmal Bang. I am Piyush Jain, and we are today bringing to you another conversation as a part of our discussion around the budget 2023. It has been an eventful budget where the government basically has announced a number of steps into the investment theme. Government basically has also actually worked around in maintaining the fiscal deficit targets, has also actually provided around 50 basis point lower fiscal deficit target for the next year. But let's try and decode from our expert. And for that, let me now actually welcome to our show Mr. Abhishek Rastogi, partner Ketan and Company, advocate Supreme Courts and various other courts, and also author of many books. Abhishek, always a pleasure talking to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So Abhishek, let's straight away sort of start with the step here around the borrowings. If I look from a normal viewer perspective, and if I look at the graph of the net borrowings, gross borrowings, though I look at the fiscal deficit number and I try to be happy that okay, we have met the number, we have actually met the target. Next year also is looking actually lower in number, but when I look at the net borrowings number, the graph is still going higher versus the last year. It's a skyscraper. How are you reading into net borrowing number, gross borrowing number overall?
See, I think first of all, I just want to correct that I have started my own chambers, which is Rastogi chamber, so I'm not part of Ketan. So just to correct that part of
I
information.
I stand corrected.
Now, I think you have raised a very fundamental and imperative point, which is with respect to the borrowings. Now, we have no problems if this figure of borrowing increases till the time my tax buoyancy ratio is good. Now, when we talk about fiscal deficit, I think the fundamental aspect which remains is with respect to both the direct tax collections and the indirect tax collections. And why this budget is tilted towards giving a lot of benefits to all income category groups is also because of the fact that on the indirect taxes side, we are doing significantly well. 1.5 lakh crores is what is being achieved. Now, this collection certainly is based on consumption. So I think the finance minister is absolutely clear. She wants to increase consumption. She wants the middle class income group, and for that matter, all categories of income groups to have more money which could be spent on consumption within the country. Now, if that happens, automatically the indirect tax collection increases, and hence there are a lot of relaxations with respect to income tax slabs, and even for that matter, rates being reduced, the income tax rates by way of surcharge being reduced, even for the high net worth individuals. So I think which is a very, very practical and bold move by the finance minister. Now, to answer to your question, with respect to the net borrowings and the gross borrowings, I think till the time the fiscal deficit is under control and the tax buoyancy ratio is improving, and we have good tax to GDP collection ratio, I don't see that will be a problem, because understand that next 16 months or so would be very important for the government to even do a lot of spendings, especially on infrastructure. There are a lot of infrastructure projects which are pending, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, we cannot ignore health and insurance for all categories of people. So I think there are certain priority sectors, infrastructure, uh, health, insurance, etc. These will remain the areas, and of course we have seen, capital expenditure will be increased by 33%. So I think from that perspective, uh, the borrowings may not look that good on cards, but till the time the fiscal deficit is under control, till the time my tax buoyancy is good, till the time my compliances with respect to taxes are good, and we are making good tax collections, I think the spending will have to happen, the borrowings for that matter will have to happen, and we will see a lot of these initiatives by way of spendings for different sectors.
Well, dear viewers, Abhishek is a master in indirect taxes, and that's why he's very happy on the show because indirect taxes has been the showstopper of the last year. So, Abhishek, that was on the lighter side from me. But indirect taxes, and I'm now actually moving towards the area where that's your craft. On the budget, indirect taxes. What was your takeaway? And were you happy? Were actually you looking for more? Because within the speech, when I was just hearing the speech, indirect taxes had a very sort of limited mention. Like
Yeah.
it was like a topic covered, and then the sort of details came out later. So, were there any devil in the details? And also, what was your takeaway from that?
So I think as far as indirect taxes are concerned, the indirect tax experts today are very happy because budget for them comes every month, or the announcements or changes come for them every month, because every GST council meeting leads to a lot of these discussions and conclusions. But to be fair to the GST council and to the finance minister, I think all of that what has been recommended or agreed has come by way of amendments to the statutory provisions, because this is the time of the year when those statutory changes which are required to be made are made. So those changes are there. Uh, as far as customs duty is concerned, yes, there has been lot of rate rationalization on various customs duty. One most important was denatured ethyl alcohol, for which there was lot of hue and cry, for which we had gone into court for lot of big players in the country, because this denatured ethyl alcohol is imported into the country, and there was a dispute between the 5% and the 2.5% preferred rate. This budget has provided for exemption to denatured ethyl alcohol. So it helps in two ways. One is, of course, the indigenous manufacturing of a lot of products such as sanitizers and nail paints, etc., becomes cheaper, and it helps in indigenous manufacturing. Secondly, the blended program for petroleum, that also gets a boost, because the denatured ethyl alcohol now becomes cheaper, and blending may be possible as per the blending program of petroleum products of the government, the initiative of the government. So I think that one is one of the most important aspects with respect to customs. With respect to GST per se, as I mentioned, that these are the changes which were
Abhishek, just
recommended.
allow me to jump in between. Just I'm just jumping in between, then I'll give back to you again. On the denatured ethyl alcohol, and I'm just making it simple for our viewers again. The primary usage is into ethanol blending. Should that be a sort of assumption, or what are the other end users? Like, let's try and make it simple for our viewers.
So yes, of course, one is that blending. This denatured ethyl alcohol is used for blending purposes, and that is the initiative of the government, that how much could be blended and so on and so forth, while mixing it with petrol and commonly known as HSD, the diesel, etc. So one is the blending program. Secondly, what happens is that denatured ethyl alcohol is used fundamentally for sanitizers, nail paints, and when you talk about the cost of manufacturing these essential products, it becomes expensive to manufacture these products here in India. So now what will happen is, with the exemption on denatured ethyl alcohol, you would be able to procure, and this is the major raw material which costs the major component of the products. So you import it now duty free. So there is an exemption now. So which means that substantial part of the cost to manufacture these products in India gets reduced. It will not only help the Indian manufacturers, the Indian consumers, but also I think now we may be in a position to even export these to several countries. So that is the best part of it.
Well, sounds promising, but I'm tempted to ask you, if you allow me, what would be the top consumers of ethyl alcohol or denatured ethyl alcohol? I sorry.
So denatured ethyl alcohol is imported by industrial users only. These are used for actual users who are into big manufacturing. These are predominantly various companies who are into high time, big time manufacturing of these products, which could be all of these which I
So would I
mentioned.
so would I be right to say that for ethanol blending, it could be oil marketing companies, for nail paints and the cosmetic stuff, the sanitizers, it could be the ITCs, the HULs of the world, the FMCG companies which actually are releasing out the products. Like, would that be a sort of good assumption?
That is the correct assumption. Actually, the confusion was whether the reduced rate for denatured ethyl alcohol, and I'm talking about 5% versus 2.5%, is eligible only to the excisable products, when these are used for excisable products, because the tariff used the heading when used for excisable products. And today under the GST regime,
Right.
excisable products are very less: petroleum, HSD, ATF, and
Absolutely.
few of these. So the question was whether the benefit would go off the reduced rate only to for manufacturing of these products or for everybody. Now it not only comes to these sectors but also to all other, because everything is exempted.
Very nice. So I think that's something a welcome development. Please continue. I'm giving back to you as you were talking about the other products.
So I think one more important change, going back to the GST, is with respect to the CSR, corporate social responsibility. There is some blocking of credits when you avail those credits with respect to the expenditure which you incur for corporate social responsibilities. So I think that blocking of credit has happened. From any perspective, blocking of credit under GST is not a good sign because it leads to tax cascading. We will have to basically see that where was the recommendation by the GST Council for such blocking, and possibly see whether such an issue would be relevant to be taken to the court for judicial review.
Okay, and that's another important point here. But apart from denatured ethyl alcohol, were there any other products where actually you observed something interesting? Like I was looking at some products. There was styrene, there was vinyl chloride, there was naphtha. It also basically figured crude glycerine, fluorochemicals also. Any of those products where you were tracking closely?
So I think, see, most importantly, most of these products, if you will see where the duties have been reduced, is with respect to the raw material part. So today, the objective is very clear that we want to make India a manufacturing hub, or to possibly facilitate in terms of lower cost for procuring of these raw materials. So if you see the trend is not to reduce duties on final products. That is not the intent. But the intent is to reduce
Right.
duty on a lot of these materials which will form part of the supply chain. So there are a lot of these changes to toys and gems and jewelries and IT electronics and so on and so forth. But the predominant intent remains that wherever these are manufacturing products, where these are required for manufacturing, it must be reduced. Hello, hello. Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir, you are audible. I think there's some network connection issue with Piyush.
Hello. Should I log in again?
Hello.
Should I log in again or should we wait?
We will wait for Piyush to join back, sir.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking the camera. Dhwani, is it coming vertical?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it's vertical.
Just a second.
Abhishek, sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem.
Just a thing.
So I think we were on that reduction of customs duty rationalization.
So,
Hello.
Yeah. Should it?
Yes,
Is it over?
sir. No. We're sorry for the inconvenience, but Piyush has some internet issues and he will be joining in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Sir, can we meet at around 5:30 then otherwise?
हाँ 5:30 is perfect. 5:30 is perfect. हाँ जी बिल्कुल ठीक है. हाँ जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
So
बिल्कुल.
I'll not go to that seminar and I'll join with my CA.
वो हाँ आप आ जाइए 5:30 और अगर आपको वो कुछ हाईलाइट बताना होगा वो मैं भी बता दूंगा आपको. डोंट वरी.
हाँ जी, sorry.
कुछ हाईलाइट बताना होगा बजट का मैं भी बता दूंगा आपको. डोंट वरी.
ठीक, हाँ, ठीक है.
वहां पर उनका वर्चुअल लिंक भी है क्या? इज देयर अ वर्चुअल लिंक फॉर दैट आल्सो?
Yeah, they were supposed to give. I will just check and I'll get back to you.
हाँ 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 तो अगर कुछ वर्चुअल होगा तो उसे लगा देंगे. वर्चुअल को अच्छा पॉइंट होगा तो सुन लेंगे उनकी बात. नहीं तो मैं आपको सब बता दूंगा. डोंट वरी. आप आ जाओ. मैं सुबह से यही कर रहा हूँ कल से सर. सारे चैनल्स पर रहिए सर.
I understand. Sir,
Yeah.
we took the wrong date.
नो बट आई वांटेड टू मीट यू आल्सो ना. कि आपका काम क्यों डिले हो. क्लाइंट वर्क नहीं डिले होना चाहिए. वो तो मैं कल था नहीं यहाँ पर. नहीं तो हम कल मिल ही लेते आपको शाम को.
नहीं, कोई नहीं सर.
हाँ जी.
5:30 we'll meet.
हाँ जी. ओके सर. ओके.
So I think first of all, apologies to you, Abhishek. I think
No problem. No problem.
Firstly, the interview got late because the agri secchi was slightly running late, and now some emergency shutdown happened.
No problem.
So we'll pick up straight away on the momentum. You were talking about the tax momentum. So I'll ask the question. So let's do a clean way here.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting here.
Yeah.
So Abhishek, you were referring to the GST momentum. GST momentum has been very strong. We just talked about the denatured ethyl alcohol, and what actually I wanted to ask you more about the other products, and there were a lot of other products from styrene to other chemicals and other sort of indirect tax adjustment also. Was there anything else which you thought was a game changer, like you referred to the denatured ethyl alcohol? Anything else which was very interesting to you?
So I think to me there are 5 broad categories if we could divide this, both in terms of swings up and down. One is of course this benefit to the chemical industry which is coming due to the exemption to denatured ethyl alcohol which we spoke. Then second is with respect to automobiles and EVs. Now here there is an increase in duty if the import of vehicles is in CKD or SKD form, including for EVs. Because interestingly, the government is very clear. We would want to reduce the duties or including on EVs, but if that manufacturing happens in India. So if I want to import Tesla in a CKD, SKD form from outside of India, then of course the duties will remain high. But if I want to buy Tesla by manufacturing here it in India and all parts are coming and so on and so forth, then of course there will be benefits to the EV sector. So I think which is the direction which this government is following, that they would want to encourage indigenous manufacturing. So keeping that in mind, the third sector is toys. If you see clearly the toys, the rate may not be a very good news for kids, especially if you see a lot of these toys which are imported, and these are expensive toys, but the duty has been increased on these toys. Some of these toys there is nothing which is identical or similar, because these are some branded toys which get imported. And if you talk to kids, they would want to have that specific brand. They would not want to look into the alternative substitute. But yes, the toy industry will get the benefit. The Indian manufacturing sector will get benefit with respect to this, because the imported toys will become expensive now. Similarly, if we see IT and electronics, there is reduction in duty rates for manufacturing of TV panels and certain
Right.
parts of mobile phones like camera lenses, etc. So the intent again is like this, that if we want to make TV panels here in India, that material or those inputs which are required for manufacturing here in India, we would want to reduce, but otherwise we would not. So they would want to clearly encourage that sector of manufacturing here in India. The other one is gems and jewelry, and we know for a fact that there is lot of now trend which is now going towards artificial diamond. The raw material
Dubai.
for that art,
Dubai is a big example. Everybody's setting up there.
Dubai is a big example, and India very soon you will see will become the hub of manufacturing. Today, uh, there are a lot of labs. The lab testing, etc., happens here in India. A lot of processes with respect to this finishing and sorting and grading, etc., happens here in India. But I think this industry needs a push, and India can become the manufacturing hub as far as this artificial diamond is concerned. So the raw material for that diamond, the lab grown diamond, that raw material will now be lesser in terms of the import duties, and hence manufacturing here in India would become more effective. So I think these are five sectors which have got the direct or indirect brunt or the rationalization due to customs.
Just one question, and I wanted to ask this question to you. You just mentioned it. Um, Machines, like if you're talking about the sort of lab grown diamonds, was this the only impediment? Because as far as what we know, like even my friends actually are setting up in Dubai, is this something which you think is going to absolutely change the tide towards Indian manufacturing?
So I think, of course, see what happens is that raw material cost is a variable cost, in the sense that it becomes the direct cost of manufacturing. Now, of course, when you talk about the capex, when you talk about the best of machineries and the duties which could be given or foregone with respect to these machineries, yes, of course, today there are duties which will be applicable on these machines being imported. Uh, but that will completely depend on what my structure will be. If I'm exporting most of these diamonds, it doesn't make a difference to me at all, because the IGST portion, I would get the refund. The only brunt which will be there as far as the cost to me is concerned would be on the basic customs duty. So I think
Right.
that's what is important. So on these machines also, if the basic customs duty is reduced, then there is there is a direct benefit. IGST and all will not be a big difference to me, because in any case, if I'm an exporter, I'll get the refund of that IGST portion.
Overall, Abhishek, your clients are will they be happy with the budget? Like you just cited TV panels. Should the electronics industry be really sort of happy about it, and or there are
See,
still some more sort of requests which were not approved, and those are still work in progress?
no, I think it's a very pragmatic budget. To be very fair to the finance minister, she has basically managed to keep fiscal deficit under control, improve tax buoyancy, and why I say that this is very pragmatic budget is because it is not giving benefit to only one category of person, in either in the income group or otherwise. It is basically trying to give some sort of benefit to everybody. So while the focus of the government will remain on expenditure, will remain on capital expenditure, but this budget ensures that it is giving something back to everyone, to every individual. And that's why I mentioned, and I had mentioned that even before the budget announcement speech, that even the high net worth individual are looking for some benefit with respect to surcharge. And that is a very bold step, that is a very pragmatic step, because we do not want Indian professionals or Indian businessmen to ship their bases to outside of India. uh, and it will really help, because if the tax rate becomes very high, it was 42.7 4% in the highest tax category, because 30% tax plus 37% surcharge, it was making it, demotivational for Indian individuals to operate from here. And if they had a choice, they would, want to go out. So I think from that perspective of pragmatism, this budget is given not only to the middle class income group, but also to the high income category group. And of course, the number shows that if you are in the income bracket of 15 lakhs and above, there is a direct tax saving which is about 1,12,500 rupees. So anybody who's at 15 lakhs or above will certainly get the reduction of direct taxes to the level of 1,12,500 rupees, which is not a less amount if we look from the overall perspective.
Abhishek, on the lighter side, are you shifting to new tax regime?
Oh yes, of course. I think new tax regime is a blessing. Plus, also what happens is that there is more clarity, and the rate slabs are clear, and surcharge and all is all taken care. So of course, new tax regime is the future. And in any case, all of this past will be phased out within some time. So it will be a complete phase out.
Last question to Abhishek, just touching back on the high net worth sort of development you just talked about, and it's very important for our viewers. I think remember, all asset management companies, they rely for their income a lot on this class. Even if you're talking about wealth management stocks, they're relying on this income from this class. Banks also actually derive a lot of fee income from this class. So there are a lot of stocks which are dependent on this. From the high net worth development which you've seen, isn't the tax still very high? Like, there are a lot of jurisdictions in Europe also, and other jurisdictions also, where actually you can really get far lower tax. Has the government just taken the first step, and it is still desirous to get actually the tax slightly lower? Like, what would be your opinion?
See, I think we are moving in the right direction. According to me, there should not be any surcharge at all. The highest category of tax rate at 30% in itself is very high. So for an individual who's already earning more than 5 crores, is also contributing very high amount. So it is not that he's not contributing. So any very high amount, I think surcharge to the extent of 2% or 5% is still okay. But I think the moment it goes beyond 5%, it kills. So what I suggest is that there must be more motivation for the high income group category. In any case, if they're earning more, they will have more motivation to earn more, and they will give more 30% out of that earning to the government. So I think any surcharge beyond 2 to 5% is really heavy. To start with, I think we are going in the right direction. But yes, I think that surcharge must be completely waived, in the days ahead to come.
Absolutely. I think it's a unanimous sort of agreement here. It's a global world, and I think government should keep moving the direction of actually streamlining and lowering the taxes and making it slightly sort of equitable for everybody. Abhishek, thanks a lot for your patience, especially, and for answering all of those questions for our viewers. It was indeed an interesting conversation, and we look forward towards meeting you next time.
Thank you. Pleasure was all mine. Thanks a lot.
And with that, it's a wrap on this show, viewers. Hope you enjoyed it.